What's up, guys? If there's anybody out there, OldGuy here coming at you live from southern Florida. Another amazing weekend being stuck here. I guess we'll just kind of wait around and see. I got started right at 6:30, like I said I would. So anyway, for those of you that don't know me, I go by OldGuy379. My name is Glenn, and I have been driving a truck now for, since 1991, April of 91. So we're rolling up on 33 years. Been at this for a couple days now. I did take some time off the road over the years. My first wife, when I was married to her, a couple of my daughters, when she was pregnant with them, I took some time off and went back mechanicking because that's what I went to school for right out of high school, and ended up in the Marine Corps. And when I got out of the Marine Corps, I couldn't find a job anywhere doing what I was doing in the Marine Corps. So I decided, you know what, I'm going to go drive a truck for a year, and then I'm going to go to school. And, well, that just never happened. So anyway, who we got out there? We had somebody there for a second. Anyway, I'm really looking forward to hopefully some people joining this. We can have some chat here. And I don't have anything in particular that I was really going to talk about other than, I'm stuck here at this 595 truck stop down here in Miami. I decided to go somewhere different this time than my normal place, which isn't a horrible place, but it's not the cleanest establishment ever. And I was just right down the street from here when I unloaded Friday morning. So I thought, you know what, I need fuel. So I'm going to go down there and get fuel. We get a huge discount with EFS here. We're talking 65 cents a gallon. So I went ahead and topped off my fuel and getting ready for tomorrow to go load produce tomorrow afternoon. But I just want to say this 595 truck stop would be a great place to have a truck stop. If you get my drift, there's a lot of potential here. There's a lot of real estate. There's a lot of parking spots. But the problem with the parking here is it's full of junk that a lot of it looks like it's been sitting around here for like a decade or more. There's a bunch of trailers sitting here that are for sale. There's a bunch of trucks and trailers here that the tires are all flat on. There's no names on them. The license plates are gone off of them, so they've been sitting here for a week or two. And I kind of wonder, it was funny when I rolled in the gate here after I got fuel and rolled into the parking area, there's a big sign right at the booth that says no repo agents allowed on premises. And looking around, maybe they should let the repo agents in, hey, Holland Donkey, how you doing, buddy? Good to see you here. Yeah, I do too, man. I really miss those old roadside truck stops. If you follow me on Facebook at all, I took a bunch of photos. I'm a photographer, so I'm always taking pictures, whether it's with my iPhone or my trusty Nikon or whatever. I got a picture of the truck out in front of Jake's Cafe there in Ritzville, Washington. And I did a 20-inch by 30-inch poster size print, and it turned out really freaking cool. But that's one of my favorite places. I grew up, actually. My dad hauled livestock all around Washington, Idaho, Montana. And we used to go in there a lot to Ritzville because we hauled a lot of cattle around that area. So we used to eat in there at Jake's probably once or twice a month. So, but yeah. So anyway, back to this place here. There's got to be 200 parking spots here, maybe more. Actually, I think there's probably close to 300. I'm trying to get the numbers out here. There's a bunch, man, but 2/3 of them are full of trucks that haven't moved in forever. And like I say, I really think they should let the repo guys come in here and just drag a bunch of this stuff out. But I think what the deal is, those guys owe 595 truck stops so much money for parking that they can't afford to get their trucks out of here. So they're just holding on to them, not letting them leave. in which at some point they got to go, we're never going to get any money out of this guy. Let's just get this crap out of here and let some people park here that actually want to come in and park. I took a shower here yesterday. The showers are clean. They don't have a shelf or anything to put your stuff on, so that kind of sucked. I really don't like throwing my stuff on the floor. That's just gross. I don't care how clean the truck stop shower is. It really bothers me setting my stuff on the floor. But they have a little lounge here. It's like a little bar, restaurant. Man, it's a good place to eat. I ate lunch there on Friday, ate dinner there yesterday. Great food, good service. Shout out to the guy that's running that. I didn't get his name, unfortunately, but he's a real personable dude. I am at the 595 truck stop in Miami, right down, almost downtown. Right now, not far from the Hard Rock Cafe and that great big casino that's shaped like a guitar. If you know where that is down here. I never knew where it was until just here in the last few months. But I unloaded Friday at good old UNFI here in Florida. And that was great because I'm changing subjects a little bit. On my bills, I got the address for Super Value up north of here in Pompano. And I show up there about 45 minutes before my appointment. And there's probably 300 spots here, maybe a little more. This place is huge. It's crazy. But anyway, thanks for commenting, Taylor. I got into that Super Value and I checked in and the gal's like, well, we don't have you on the board for an appointment. I'm like, well, I have a 4:00 appointment. So she did some calling. Oh yeah, no, your appointment's not till 5. And I'm like, well, whatever, And then pretty soon they're like, oh, you have ice cream on. You need to go to our other warehouse. I'm like, where's that at? And they said, Miami Gardens. I'm like, okay, I'm not from here. Where's Miami Gardens? And the guy's like, well, just down I-95 about 25 miles. Like, oh, that's great. So fortunately for me, they signed my gate pass and everything with the time I checked in. So when I got down there, I wasn't late because I rolled in there right at my appointment time. So that was okay. But man, what a pain, and then back into the door and sit there for 2.5 hours for 2 pallets and then get charged $185 to unload. That's another racket, man. I think we're all in the wrong business. We should all start lumper services and we could probably retire. But yeah, this place here, if they cleaned it up, would be really nice. Most of the parking is paved. It's all angle parking, kind of like a lot of the Petros are. The rows are set up with one-way traffic direction, and it's either a sight side or a blind side back, but it's at an angle, so it's not too bad. The convenience store, on the other hand, high priced, typical Southern Florida convenience store, truck stop convenience store. Friday morning, the staff was amazing. They were really good people, very professional, kind of fun to talk to. But come Saturday or, Friday night and yesterday, dude, I know marijuana is legal, but it doesn't mean you have to come in smelling like it or go out and get high and then come back in off your break. 2 of the guys, man, they were so stoned they couldn't have hit the wall if they ran into it. Their eyes were just completely red, and their pupils all dilated. And yeah, man, just clueless, absolutely clueless. So if anybody from 595 is listening in management, if this ever gets back to them, man, they need to step up their employee pool a little bit. And it's kind of disheartening to come to a place. If you guys have any questions, man, feel free to throw them out there. It's good to see, like I say, Holland Donkey and Taylor's on here. Thank you for joining me. At least I got 2 people that are watching, saying something. I appreciate that. So typically these long weekends like this, oh man, yeah, right. I would love that 54-foot trailer. Mine's a 53-foot Timpty sided Great Dane spread, 10-foot 2 spread. but on a slider. But that 54 foot, man, I would love to have that. I would love to have that extra foot just so that when I load 30 pallets in there sideways, I actually have room for my pallet jack at the back of the trailer. There's room, but man, I mean, it misses the door by like an inch. So it would be nice to have that extra space. Of course, I'd figure out a way to fill it all the way anyhow. The 12-foot spread, I don't know. You really don't get any more weight out of it. You know, you're still stuck at 40,000. You get 20,000 per axle, but I think it would definitely make it a lot easier to load, because the farther that spread is, the less you have to worry about how you load front to back. My trailer's got a 22-inch kingpin setting on it, so it's really easy to load. I can turn everything sideways from the front all the way to the back, and it comes out pretty even. And I love that Timpty siding, man. I don't know. That's a lot of guys like the utility trailers and the old style double rib, you know, like Utility and Great Dane has on their standards. But man, that Timpty, that just continuous rib down the side, it just looks cool. Love to have a new stainless trailer, but oh my gosh, who can afford that crap? I mean, you're talking, well, right around, well, let's see, a new tractor is about $250. You're looking at about $160,000 for a new trailer, $170 for one with stainless sides, even a single temp. The last company I was with, they were looking at new trailers. They run all multi-temps, tri-temps. And they decided rather than to buy, yeah, there probably would be more tire wear with a 12-foot. I mean, I guess if your dumps work like they're supposed to, probably wouldn't be so bad. That's another problem with my trailer. This trailer was supposed to have dumps put on it before I got the trailer, and the switches weren't working in the dash. I got that part all figured out, and then nothing worked. And I got underneath the trailer again, and I'm like, where is the dump valve on this trailer? It is not here. And the guy that I bought it from is, oh no, it's on there. And I'm like, well, I took a video of everything. You show me where it's at. And he's like, no, obviously they didn't do it. So we're already paid for it. We just got to get in and get it done. But it definitely makes easier getting in and around. Going forward, the dumps aren't near as bad or as important as backing up, though. Man, you get these things in a twist backing up, and they change directions really, really fast. It makes it just a pain when it's, you know, you're trying to back in 53 foot of trailer with a spread. But anyway, I'll go back to DTS with their trailers. They decided rather than buy new trailers at almost $200,000 a piece, they decided to just take 10 trailers that were in really good shape and put new units on them, rebuild the suspension, all new brakes, hubs, spindle, you know, not spindles, but all new bearings and everything. And I think they were able to do that for about 70 grand rather than spend, you know, almost 3 times that for a new trailer. It's crazy how much equipment costs now. My first brand new truck I bought in 95, I paid $92,000 for it. And that was a lot of money back then. I mean, that was crazy high. But, you know, to put that in today's dollars, you know, $250,000 is still way above what I think they should be, especially with all the problems we have with the new trucks. I've been real fortunate, you know, with mine rolling up on 200,000 miles now and not having any check engine lights or anything. That's been really good. So I'm happy with that, but we'll see where things go. Oh, I'd love to. Black trailers would be cool too, but I have enough trouble with a black truck, man, keeping it clean and looking decent. Yeah, they sure do look cool. And somebody told me, I don't know, I've never checked the difference, but somebody told me the difference between like a black trailer and a white trailer, that there's like some weight difference in that too. I don't know how. I can't think that black pigment would weigh any more than the white paint, but I know stainless trailers are heavy just because stainless is heavier per square foot, you know, and you end up with a lighter gauge metal on the outside. They dent so easy. That would drive me crazy because, you know, all you got to do one time is have a door get caught by the wind and you got dents in the side of your trailer. Or, you know, some dingleberry backing in next to you and just barely touches it with their doors or something. So what else? What are you guys doing this weekend? Are you guys just sitting around? Or are you rolling? Or, well, I mean, I hope you're not rolling and watching videos, but are you off for the weekend or? I wish I was off for the weekend. I mean, I'm off, but I'm not home. I'd much rather be at home fishing. Springtime fishing right now be pretty good. We've got a couple kayaks that my son and I use, and we got into that whole kayak fishing thing here 2 years ago. Man, should have done that years before that. You can get out on the lake, even smaller lakes, and get out towards the middle and not have to fish off the bank and get all hung up in the freaking weeds and everything. Makes it a lot more fun. Right on. At the house. I was there last weekend. Well, not your house, but my house. I wasn't there long enough, though. I just barely got my 34 in and had to leave right away. But, that's trucking, man. That's kind of how it is. New Jersey. Ick. Well, I hope you like it over there. I mean, I've been there. I guess it wasn't that bad. Glen B. Man, I don't know. It's been a long time since I've been in New Jersey. I think it's about 2003 or 4. I hauled a Genie, a big boom lift. I think it was a 60-foot boom lift into United Rentals right there across the river from where the Twin Towers were. And that was kind of an eerie thing to look over across. Better than DC. That's no crap right there, buddy. I'll give you that. But it was really eerie looking over across the river, or across the bay there to New York and not see the Twin Towers there, because I knew they'd been there before, and just see that empty spot in the skyline. That was so weird, man. I mean, in 2003, 2004, we were still right on the heels of that, and everybody was still feeling the pain from that event. That was horrible, man. I remember when 9/11 happened, my wife and I, we were running team at the time, and we got a call from her mom that morning. She's like, "You got to turn the TV on right now. Somebody bombed the Twin Towers or something." I don't remember. She was just going all crazy. And so we turned the news on. Sure enough, man, Twin Towers, and then my dispatcher, he calls and he's like, "Hey, I don't know, man. We got you going back east over there to," I don't remember where we were going, to Michigan or somewhere. And, and then at that point, everybody's talking about how all these guys, because of that, the fuel prices were going through the roof. He was telling me we had one owner operator. In fact, he was in New Jersey at the time. And he said, "Oh man, oversized bridge girders. That's fun. Cool. Oh yeah. And going into DC, how long are they? How long are those girders?" But, he told us that we had a guy in New Jersey that was over there, and one of the New Jersey fuel stops, just because of the whole thing with the Twin Towers, had jacked the fuel price up over $5 a gallon. Now, if you can imagine, in 2001, fuel was still in that $1.30 to $1.50 range, maybe a little less, depending on where you were at. Because I remember in 2004 when fuel hit $2 a gallon, man, I was ready to quit at that point. I was like, absolutely not. I am not paying. I guess it was late 2004. Early 2005. I'm not spending $300 for 150 gallons of fuel. This is stupid. Now look what we're doing. We're still out here doing the same dumb thing, paying 3 times as much for fuel. But I told him, I said, if that's the way it's going to be, dude, I'm not going anywhere. Well, you got to go. You can't refuse a load. Oh man, 120 foot. Right on. You guys. So on those beams, I got to ask you this, Glenn. Do you have a steer car underneath, like that somebody drives, or is that all hydraulic operated? Because I got friends of mine back in Spokane that pull beams for, it's Old Castle now, but it used to be Central Premix pre-stress. They have steer cars from back in like the 1960s and early 70s that they're still using, that a guy sits in underneath the back of that concrete. I don't know if you guys are hauling steel beams or, but on the concrete beams, they actually put a little cart under there with a guy in it with a steering wheel. And then he's basically at the mercy of the dude driving the truck, making sure he tells him where they're going so he can steer properly to get the beams around the corners. and to keep him alive, because, you're sitting with your butt this far off the ground with, God knows how heavy concrete beam right over your head. That's some crazy stuff, man. But yeah, like I say, I've been at this for a little while, so I've seen some just incredible things. I've met some awesome people out here, man. That to me, I think that was the whole thing in getting into this whole YouTube thing. Like I said way back, if you've seen that video, I had a friend of mine that really pushed me into doing this. He's like, hey, you've got a lot of cool stories. You've been out there for a long time. Maybe you ought to do a YouTube channel. And all right, just I kind of half-heartedly did it, and I think it's really cool. I don't post a lot now as much as I did when I first started. When you first start something new, man, I mean, you're just go, 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 go. You just want to do more and more and more. And I've kind of cut back on that a little bit because, steerable was, oh man, right on. So anyway, I'll answer that there just in a second, Taylor. So anyway, I've kind of cut back on that because I want to make sure that if I'm putting a video out, I want to try to make sure there's some decent content. There's a lot of YouTubers out there that just throw all kinds of crap out there. I don't think we need another newscaster YouTuber in the trucking industry. There's already enough of those out there. I don't think we need a complainer. I don't think I need to be trying to tell everybody how awesome it is and how much money we can make, that kind of thing. Just some daily events and then things like this, I mean, dinner's ready, got to go. Well, hey man, thanks a lot for joining us. I appreciate it. Hopefully it's a good dinner. I already ate mine. I ended up getting my griddle out and making a grilled cheese sandwich. It's going to have grilled ham and cheese, but my ham went bad. It was left over from Easter. And by the time I got to it here, it wasn't very good. As far as the gears in my truck, Taylor, I've got 325s in this with low pro 22.5s. So essentially with that 18 speed, if you go back, like I had a 97 W900 that had the 18 speed with 355s on low pro 24.5s. It's a real similar gear ratio overall. A little higher, probably. I would say it's probably closer to low pro 24.5s with 336s is about where I'm at. It works real well. I'd love to have a little more horsepower, but what do you do? All this new emissions crap, and engines are advertised at 565, but by the time you lose 60, 70, 80 horsepower through the DPF, who knows what they're really at. But it pulls good. The top two gears, it's a little high geared for pulling hard. Oh man. So yeah, I'll get right back to you there, D-Rod. Taylor, yeah, they sold the mountains, man. It does really good actually. Because the top two gears, of course, I've got to downshift pretty much right away out of that, depending on what my weight is. You get into seventh and sixth gear, the high or low side, it pulls about the same. If you're familiar, well, like coming up out of Florida, Georgia into Tennessee, up Mont Eagle, coming back north or west, depending on how you want to look at it. I usually come out of Florida about 76,000 pounds. I pull that hill, the low side of seventh gear, high side of sixth gear. Get out Montana, like Homestake, going west up the steep side there. If I'm heavy at all, I'm same position, about sixth gear high. Coming back east, same thing. I'm about usually 76,000 pounds. And I pull most of the hills in the high side of sixth gear. So 35 to 40 miles an hour at 76,000, a lot of it just depends on how I hit the bottom of the hill. If I'm just being lazy and not really paying attention, sometimes I drop down a little bit more than that, but I rarely drop lower than the low side of sixth gear pulling hills. So it does really good. So yeah, D-Rod, new CDL driver. Months ago, I recall you said find yourself a mentor, not having much luck with that. Well, man, I appreciate that. I really appreciate that. You know, I don't know where to direct you to other than just, you know, see, find guys that are old, that look old, you know, because if they look old, they've probably been around for a while. Like I say, when you walk up and talk to them, just be respectful. That's the biggest part. You know, I mentioned that in one of the videos, you know, a while back, that we had when I was back in Billings, that we had a Middle Eastern kid come up to, there was like 5 or 6 of us standing around just shooting the breeze. And that kid was super respectful, man. I mean, just super, super respectful. It was really neat. It was very refreshing. And, you know, he just started asking questions. And I think usually, you know, if you can find somebody to do that and just glean all the advice you can from other people. But man, I really appreciate you watching this. And if you ever have any questions, man, just reach out, send me a message via, you know, through the channel via email. That's not a problem. You know, if you're having an issue or something you need some help with, I'll surely try to help you as much as I can. So yeah, Taylor, 355s, 358s on tall rubber. You're looking like with the 355s tall rubber, that's really close to where I'm at with the low pro 22.5s and the 325s. So real similar gear ratio in the final end there. The only thing is that I've noticed though, between this one and say like driving a truck with 336s or 355s with this 18 speed, is it's a little longer time to get going. Those 325s do kind of slow you down on the acceleration a little bit, but other than that, as far as the pulling side goes, I haven't noticed any difference in it at all. It's actually fairly impressive for what it is, you know. And I've got friends of mine that, I got a buddy of mine that's got a truck just real similar to this. It's a 389 Pete though, but same engine, transmission, but he's got like 308 rear ends. And I'm like, oh my gosh, dude. How do you pull hills? And he says, well, I really don't, you know, but he's high enough geared, you know, he never drops down into the low side of the transmission, but he'll be down in like fifth and low, or fifth and high, which, you know, is probably speed wise is probably pretty close to mine where it's at in 6 low. So around that 30 mile an hour mark. But he says it does struggle. He does work the engine a lot harder that way. But when he's out on the flats, you know, and he's running 75 miles an hour, he's only turning like 1200 RPM, you know. I'm like, oh my gosh, that truck probably does like 128 or somewhere around there. And he just smiles. He doesn't answer me. So yeah, I get it. I wouldn't want to know because I'd probably try to find out. Oh, speaking of that, so man, I am not a speed demon by any means, but let's go back to 2004. I'm going to tell a quick little story here because this one's kind of funny, and then we'll start kind of cutting it short. But 2004, I was running west out across Arizona, and I'd run into my cousin, who was at the time was hauling livestock, and he's a couple years younger than me, and he was known for getting down the road and making time, right? So it was him and me and another cow hauler. I was actually pulling flatbed at the time, and I only had like 1,800 pounds sitting on the deck of the trailer. I was almost empty. And running across Arizona in the middle of the night there, we come out of New Mexico into Arizona there on 40 headed west. And we've been running along about 80, 85 the whole night. And hey, how you doing, Blind Sight? And we get into Arizona, and about, I don't know, 5 miles, 6 miles out of Holbrook, this big green 379 comes by with a stainless steel reefer, and he comes by me, and he kind of did the whole little pull ahead thing, and I'm like, whatever, just go ahead and go. And he got up next to my cousin, and man, they were off like a rocket, those two just racing down the road. And I thought, well, I can't get left behind, so I just put my foot to the floor, and we just let her go. And you know, at about 85, the RPMs were still raising, but I have no idea how fast I was going at that point. 355s, low pro 24.5s, according to calculations, they say about 105, 104, somewhere in there. And this was not one of my shining moments for safety or smart, intelligence. But anyway, I come rolling off the hill at the 284 mile marker there in Holbrook. When you're coming west, you drop down a little incline there underneath an overpass. And there was 4 or 5 of those real slow trucks in the right-hand lane. One of them I know was a Werner truck because he was at the back end. And I thought, man, I better slow down because one of these guys decides to change lanes in front of me. I'm going to have a front row seat to a pretty big truck wreck. So I get slowed down to about, 80, 85, somewhere around there. And all of a sudden, the red and blues were on behind me. And I thought, well, he's not after me. I'm not going that fast. I'm only doing a little over 80. So I let off the throttle and the Jake come on. And of course, being almost empty, man, I scrubbed off like 10 miles an hour really fast. And this cop just almost rear-ended me. You could just see the headlights just dive in the mirror. And I was like, oh, man. And then I switched down to channel 19. And those guys I was passing, like, oh, my God, did you see that cop almost rear-ended that flatbed? Jeez, I wonder how fast he was going. So I get past these guys and I move over in the right lane. Well, there that cop is right behind me. And I thought, oh, well, I guess we need to stop. So I get pulled over to the side of the road and he almost rear-ended me a second time. And I got to say, man, this guy was efficient. I was only pulled over on the side of the road for about 10 and a half minutes. I wasn't there the normal 30, 40 minutes. So I get the brakes set. I pull the permit book and everything out of the side box or out of my side pouch in the driver's side door. And I opened the passenger door because I knew he was coming up that side. And he was already there, and I hit him in the head with the door. I knocked his hat off. Oh, my gosh. And he was a young kid, man. He was like 25, 26 years old, and his freaking eyes were like this. And I said, hey, how you doing tonight? And he goes, well, I'm doing a lot better than you're going to be doing here in about 2 effing minutes. And I'm like, whoa, you don't need to cuss at me. He's like, do you have any idea how freaking fast you were going? I'm like, yeah, like 80, 85. 85? He said, you rung my bell at 105 back up the road. I've been trying to catch you for 5 freaking miles. He said, I finally got a lock on you coming off the hill at 97. And I went, nah, that wasn't me, man. That wasn't me. There's no way. My truck won't go that fast. It's governed at 78. And he goes, I don't care what you say. You were going that fast. And I said, well, my company I'm leased to says we can only be we can only be up to 78 miles an hour. Says there's no way that was me, and I'm just lying through my teeth, man. So anyway, I give him all my paperwork. He storms off back to the car, and this guy, he was shaking so bad he almost couldn't hold on to my permit book and my logbook. And he comes back to the truck, like I said, less than 10 minutes later, and he's already got the ticket written out. And he's hops up on the passenger side step. Turn your wipers on, turn your headlights on, high beam, low beam, turn left, turn signal right. All right, we're good. Here you go. Here's your ticket. And you couldn't read anything on there except the pre-printed stuff on the ticket. He was so shook up, he couldn't even write. And he hands me the ticket and everything. He goes, all right, get out of here. I don't want to catch you out here going that fast again or something along those lines. And I'm kind of laughing the whole time because I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm probably going to go to jail over this. This is a great story. My dad's going to love this. My dad was still alive at the time, and he always, oh yeah, you're everywhere you go, you're running 100 miles an hour all the time. And I'm like, yeah, okay, Dad, whatever. I really don't, except for that time. So anyway, later that evening, I catch up with my cousin and everybody. We stopped in, we were just outside of Holbrook. We stopped in Holbrook so he could rest his cattle and the other guy. And I get to looking at the ticket. And Arizona has, I don't know if they still do, but at the time they had 2 different tickets. They had one for a commercial vehicle and one for a private automobile. Well, he wrote me a ticket for an automobile, not for a truck. So anyway, the next day we had this open road legal program through the company I was leased to. And I called them and like, what do you want out of this? And I said, well, I just don't want it on my record. I said, that's the main thing. I said, if I got to pay the fine or I got to take traffic school or whatever, I can't have a 22 mile an hour speeding ticket on my license. So he goes, all right, we'll see what we can do. And a couple months go by, court date gets set and everything. And the lawyer goes to court for me. And he called me that morning and he's like, hey, just so you know, I'm headed into court. I'll call you when we're done. I'm like, okay, cool. Just let me know. And of course, I'm kind of stressing because I don't know what's going to happen. About 4 hours later, he calls me. He's kind of laughing. I'm like, how'd it go? And he goes, what actually happened that night? And I said, what do you mean? So let me back up a little bit. In the process of this, I went to our local Kenworth dealer in Spokane. I said, and I talked to the service manager, and I'm like, hey, I need you to plug into my truck, set it at 78 miles an hour, run a printout that shows it's at 78 mile an hour governed speed, and then I need you to turn it back up all the way. Oh, I can't do that. I can't do that. I'll get in trouble. Like, they're never going to know that I just need a printout saying that so I can send it off with an affidavit saying my truck's governed at 78. And so just, I got to protect my license and I got to protect my lease with this company. So anyway, he goes, what happened that night? So I kind of recapped the story, and he goes, yeah, that's kind of what the guy said. And he started laughing. I said, what's so funny? He goes, man, that poor kid. He said, I don't know what all happened exactly. He said, but when the judge called him up to the stand and he started giving his testimony, he literally started shaking. He could not keep it together. And so the judge was looking at the ticket and he was looking at his notes, and he goes, how do you know it was this truck? I can't even read your notes. It's just all scribbles. He said, you're telling me it was this guy, but we don't even know. I can't even read anything on the ticket. The VIN number, it's all illegible. He said, I don't even know. I'm assuming it was probably him, but I can't say it was him because you got no proof. So anyway, they ended up deciding that, okay, you can take a National Traffic Safety Council safety course. And if you pass that, it's got to be an 8-hour course. If you pass that, then we'll just take it off your record, but you got to stay clean for 6 months. You can't have another, so much as even like a parking violation. So well, that's cool. I can live with that. No fine, no violation, no foul, right? So I call Holbrook's traffic court, and this lady answered, and I told her what was going on. Well, the only place I could do it actually was at the company I was leased to. Every Friday they did a recertification class, and it was that required class. She goes, you know what? I'm an old lady. I don't care where you take it, just as long as you take it and you get the certificate. And I said, what's it going to cost? She says, $90. And I went, all right, cool. We got paid $10 an hour to sit through this 8-hour class. So that ticket ended up only costing me $10, and it came off my record. And I am so grateful, man, because I can't imagine what my career would have looked like. I mean, that was like a career-ending stupidity move right there. But man, it was fun, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. It was such a good time and so much fun that night. But I don't recommend doing that. I really don't. Because good Lord, especially this day and age, I can only imagine, what would happen. You get pulled over by the wrong cop now. I'm really shocked though he didn't just haul me off to jail. I mean, I don't know what Arizona's requirements are for that, but I'm sure I was pushing that limit, especially kind of laughing at him when he pulled up, because he didn't think it was very funny. Oh man. Well, guys, if you have any more questions, throw them at me here real quick. Otherwise, we're going to give her a couple more minutes, and then I think I'm going to shut her down. I'm going to go get some dinner and take a shower and go to bed. I'm not really in any hurry to go to bed, but so I can't load till about noon tomorrow. But anyway, it's just normal. Any of you guys run down here in Florida at all? Yeah, I miss Taylor. I miss running with guys like that. It's so hard to find now guys to just run with. And when you do find them, usually it's a pretty short-lived trip. It seems like, trying to find old guys to run with or anybody to run with that even has a CB anymore. I mean, I don't understand what the stigma is where people don't want to run a CB. I mean, I get it. You get that idiot like Mud Duck and them on there just crapping up Channel 19 all day, but it's so handy to be able to talk to people. Oh man, you had to take your really. That was really interesting when they changed that speed limit to 70. I'd gotten off the road for a while. What year did they do that? Was that like in 2016 or something like that? I'm trying to remember now. Same with Ohio. I mean, I remember Illinois and Ohio 55. And I mean, Illinois, you could get away with a little more, but Ohio, man, 56, 57, that was about it. You just didn't play around there in that state. And I watched them guys, they'd pull 5 or 6 trucks over all at once. But yeah, That's cool. Well, all right, guys. Hey, blindside, I see you're going to bed. Yeah, 2014, right on. Yeah, I figured it was somewhere around there because 2019, when I went back to running, pulling RGN and running through there, I about fell out of my seat when I saw the speed limit was 70. I'm like, oh wow, didn't think that was ever going to happen. Same thing out in Oregon. Well, everybody, man, it's been a lot of fun. I sure do appreciate it. Like I tell you guys all the time, man, I really appreciate your support. You know, maybe someday I'll be as big as some of those other YouTubers. I don't know. But right now, this is just a lot of fun for me, just kind of sharing my stories and getting to answer some questions. And like I said, you know, D-Rod, man, if you have any questions, just send me a message. I don't know exactly how to do it, but I know there's ways to send me, you know, just through the comments even. Just shoot me a message and it'll pop up in my email. And then maybe send me your phone number and I'll just text you and we'll go from there. But yeah, I'd love to help you out a little bit. Anyway, guys, like I said, appreciate you. Keep the shiny side up, the greasy side down, and we'll catch you all on the flip flop. Have a good night, guys. See ya.